So maybe we'll get started. Our topic today is going to be digital note-taking with OneNote by myself, Tom Kreuzer. We'll talk about why use a note package instead of a word processor. And then I'll show Microsoft OneNote, which is free to use on any devices there. First, a little bio on myself. I'm known as a PC guy because I had the personalized license plate for PC guy. I'm the son of John Kreuzer here at Carondelet. I worked 40 years at 3M in the information technology IT area. I'm currently and have been an officer and presenter of the 3M Personal Computing Club for over 35 years. I offer free computer help. I mentioned I'm thrifty, I'm not cheap, so if there's a solution that is low cost or that, I usually recommend that or find that. I'll put in a plug. We do have coming up this Monday a Fix-It Clinic along with my sister and brother-in-law. We fix small appliances, lamps, electronics, jewelry, small furniture, fans, even questions, technology questions, anything that you have there. And you can sign up down on the first floor for a slot from 1 to 3 on Monday. The next presentation here in October will be, I'll be giving it on TV streaming services, and that'll be October 19th. Streaming services, so it'll be on TV, smart TV, or if you, things like Netflix, Hulu, stuff like that. I mentioned the Carondelet website here. If you miss a presentation or want to revisit one of them or the handouts, they're all available out on the website, both the calendar, the resources, and you can even ask a question. So let's get to the main topic today, digital note-taking with OneNote. Never miss that flash of inspiration. You want to capture it. We all have thoughts and ideas and information we come across daily that we'd like to keep and organize for future use. The best digital note taker is Microsoft OneNote. It can do everything. It works on pretty much any device, and the basic version is free with almost no feature restrictions. In the past, there was a competitor that actually was #1 in the market. If you go back 5 years or 10 years ago, it was Evernote. And Evernote is the main competitor of OneNote, but now OneNote is recommended by myself, and almost every place that does reviews in that will recommend OneNote. It's Evernote, if you are using it or do want to take a look at it, it can get expensive with all the features that you need, upwards of $70 a year, and it has bugs that slow down performance, and it just makes it frustrating to work with. Evernote hasn't evolved and added capabilities. OneNote over the years continues to add new things in, and Evernote is kind of stayed by the wayside. In addition to Evernote, there is competition for the Microsoft OneNote, and Google has a package. It's called Google Keep for taking notes, and Apple has a package, the Apple Notes. They're okay for basic note taking. It's just that they won't have all the features and functions that I'll be showing today. Everyone needs a tool like OneNote. So hopefully after seeing this, you'll see all kinds of uses if you're not already using it. So first, let's start out with what is digital note-taking. Digital note-taking is taking thoughts, ideas, and information that you might need to use in a day, a week, a month, a year, or 10 years from now and store it in a digital format. The information that you store goes beyond just text and can include everything, including multimedia. So in the past, we used different ways to capture these inspiration ideas and things like that. And here on the slide, I'm showing the desk down in the bottom right-hand corner. You may have had a desk like this or know people that have desks where they've collected things and stuffed them into notebooks and had stuff all over the place, or even a spiral-bound notebook that they wrote things in and crossed things out and tried to capture their information and save it there. So in the past, you may have used paper notebooks to do these things. You may have used Post-it notes or still using Post-it notes. Now, I worked for 3M, but Post-it notes days have come and gone. Most people should be using packages like OneNote to store their information instead of putting it on Post-it notes. Also, people have used napkins. So if you're out eating or you have this inspiration while you're eating and you want to capture it, you may jot a little note to yourself on a napkin. Well, again, you won't have to do that anymore. The other case is maybe you run into pieces of information as you're looking through magazines or newspapers, something that's useful or will be useful to you down the road. In today's environment too, if you go out to any websites, there's usually useful websites and pages of information. In some cases, people print them out or they're bookmarking them or they're trying to store the information that way. You also may have typed notes or handwritten notes that you have or emails that you get from people or from organizations that you want to keep that information. The other way that a lot of us tried to save information or that inspiration is in your brain. We just hope that we remember something and we try and remember there. Well, that doesn't always work that well, and especially the more information you have or the longer the time period goes, we forget things. So some people will try and rely on their friend's brain to store things. They hope that the friend has a better memory, or when they call them, they'll remember this piece of inspiration or information that they need. Also, we run into photos that we keep, or a PDF file, or a voice or a video recording, freehand drawing, scans, or screen captures, drawings, sketches, annotations, highlighting with pen, more. So we have all these different ways of information all around us. OneNote can handle all of this and more. So the biggest advantage of digital note-taking over the traditional methods that we talked about in the last slide is the ability to sync this information and make that information available and updatable from virtually anywhere on any device at any time. And that's the important thing with this information. If you write it down with a notebook, you have to have that notebook with you all the time. Well, you don't always have the notebook, but most of us have a phone or a tablet or a laptop or a desktop or something there with us at all times. So this means that your information could be updatable and accessible from any of these devices at any time. You can make the information even better by adding text to this note or information that you captured. You can also highlight and you can add ink annotations. You can even share and collaborate with others. And we'll talk about some of that later, because people go, well, since I'm not in business or that, I don't need the ability to share, but we all need to share. You may be working with friends and relatives to plan a party or to even keep track of gifts for birthdays and Christmas and things like that. You can use these tools to help. I mentioned here that a digital note taker is not a word processor replacement. So it's not going to replace Microsoft Word. Microsoft still has the product Microsoft Word for word processing. OneNote is a note capture tool there. And just like you don't use a hammer to screw in a screw, you shouldn't use or try and use OneNote to be a word processor. Now, some of your notes may turn into a formal document in a word processor at the end of the process. So you may accumulate a lot of information, but if you want to get it in a fancy format and publish it or print it out nice, that's where a word processor is going to be better than these digital note takers. So what are some practical uses of note taking? Well, lists are always nice. It could be shopping lists. And when I say shopping lists, it's not just one list that we have if you're shopping. It may be lists that you keep, again, for birthdays or Christmas. It can be stuff when I go to the grocery store, stuff when I go to the hardware store, stuff when I go to this other place. So we all have multiple lists that we keep of things that we're looking for there. You also may have to-do lists, keeping track of, excuse me, a whole bunch of things and juggling them. It may be things that you have to do this week or this month or this year, or if it's things that you do once a year, getting them documented well. And you still can use your calendar in that. This is just maybe more detail or showing all the steps that you do once a year there. Excuse me, a little tickle. Also, another thing that's nice to keep track of is recommendations for services or products. So, excuse me, I belong to some Facebook and some neighborhood sites, and frequently you'll see people recommending either a plumber or somebody for this service or that service. And these digital note takers can be nice to document that, because right now you may not need it, but you may need that service in 6 months or a year or something like that. And then you want to be able to easily find it and get that recommendation. Also, it can be ongoing note-taking that you're doing. This could be for home or work projects or notes. So maybe you're planning a barbecue or a wedding or an anniversary or something like that. Getting all that information and getting ideas from other people and planning for it, that can all be done in a digital note taker. Personal data repository. So just dumping general information that you run into, just some place where you can put it in and then find it. An interaction log with other people. So maybe it's people that you don't meet that often. You want to keep track of the last time you saw them. An update maybe on their kids or other people. This is a place to store that kind of information. Also, it can be websites that you find information that's valuable, or emails that you get, or magazines, or lectures, or presentations, or meetings, or classes that you attend. Capturing that information so that you can use it at a later time. Another category is idea canvas. There's a technique called mind mapping. You may be familiar with it, but if you're not familiar with it, chances are you're doing it already. You just don't know that you're doing it. That's where you diagram to visually organize information into a hierarchy, showing relationships among pieces of the whole. So it lets you capture this stuff and put it in there. Another way is brainstorming. We all brainstorm. You have a problem, you talk to friends and family or to other people, or you search the internet to find out how to do something, and you're trying to figure out the best path or the best way to go, and it can be very handy there. Also, any information that might be helpful in the future. So kind of the catch-all. We all run into pieces of information or things that we don't know when we're going to need it, but we know at some point in the future we're going to need it. So let's talk about Microsoft OneNote. It does require a Microsoft account. You can access OneNote through a web-based interface using a browser on almost any platform, or you can download the app or software on the devices, and that app or software is free on all the different devices. If you download the app or software, it gives you more features usually than the browser-based web system. In order to use OneNote, you do have to have that Microsoft account. You can get a free Microsoft account, and that free Microsoft account gives you 5 gigabytes of storage, and these notebooks or the information that you create will be stored on the Microsoft OneDrive cloud storage. And that's the way it's synced or kept updated on all your devices, whether it's in the cloud or apps or a browser or Windows or a Macintosh. Now, some people are currently have a paid subscription to Microsoft to get like Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So if you have a paid Microsoft 365 account, that also comes with OneNote, so you already have it. As an example, the personal account is $69 a year. It's good for one user on up to 5 devices, and you get more storage, 1 terabyte of storage up on the Microsoft cloud storage. And it does unlock a couple of nice features in OneNote for stickers and an advanced math assistant. Now, it's possible to store all your information for your notebooks on your local hard drive, but I don't recommend it since if you just stored it on, let's say, like my laptop here, I wouldn't have it available on my phone or when I'm in another location or that. So I do highly recommend that you do use OneDrive and to keep things in sync and store the information. OneNote does organize the information using 3 levels. The first level is a notebook, so you can have 1 or more notebooks. Within these notebooks, you can have 1 or more sections, and within these sections, you can have 1 or more pages. Pages can have embedded information like an Excel file or an infinite number of what are called canvases. Notebooks can be saved locally and synced via Microsoft OneDrive, and as I mentioned earlier, I recommend that you use the syncing capability and store everything up on OneDrive. Let's take a quick look at OneNote here. This is OneNote running on my laptop here, and this is what it looks like. The data is being synced to the Microsoft OneDrive cloud, and this is where you can have any number of notebooks and start out with 1 notebook, and as you put more and more things out there, you may decide that you want multiple notebooks to segment things out. And within the notebook, you can have any number of sections, and you can add as many as you need. And then within each section, you have pages. So if we go here for this, let's add a page, and we'll call it OneNote Demo. So this will be our demo, this OneNote demo here. I can go down here and I could start typing, and so I can add any text that I want there. Also, let's see if I can do this. Let's bring up some standard text. So I copied in some text here. So you can start adding, putting information in here. And this created a page. This page is currently being synced to the Microsoft cloud. That's this little arrows going around. and immediately I'd have the capability of accessing it, either to view it or to update it on my phone or any other device there. Let's go back to the presentation here. OneNote does have powerful text editing, and its formatting is similar to Word with styles, so you can have bullets and indents and numbers and bold and different sizes of text. However, like I mentioned earlier, OneNote is not a replacement for a word processor. You can also, to any of this information or these pages, you can add anchor drawing. So that way you can add thoughts, text, you can annotate things using a mouse or a touchpad on a PC. So if you have a laptop, if you have a mouse or a touchpad, you can draw, and I'll show you that in a minute here. And if you have a phone, you can, or a tablet, you can use your fingers or a stylus on a mobile device to draw. And all you do to draw is go to the Draw tab and you can pick your pen. So let's go back to our document here. I can go up here to the top to the Draw. And up here on the Draw, I can pick a pen and I can just start drawing anything I want on here. If I wanted to, and so you can draw on here. I can add shapes, so I could actually do diagrams or that. So I can put boxes in here. Let's put in a decision box in here. Put a decision box in here. I can connect that with an arrow. So we'll go from here to here. I can connect it. If I want to add text in here in the box, I can. So I can add text. I can move this stuff around. Again, I can create a new paragraph down here, and I can put stuff. So I can organize this any way that I want, and at any time too, I can move this anywhere that I want. So that's you can't do that in a word processor, but in a digital note taker, it recognizes that you have these ideas and inspiration, and you're trying to capture it or highlight or do things, and it lets you do all that. Another thing in the Draw here is I can use a highlighter pen, and that lets me go in here and I can highlight text in here just like using a yellow highlighting pen. I can highlight things there. So there's lots of things that can be done with the Draw to draw attention to a picture or to text or something that you may have captured before. You can also add what's called mixed media. So you can record audio notes. You can do online videos, images, files, links. Just about anything can be added to these pages and saved, because that's what the tool lets you do, is take your inspiration and your ideas and stuff like that and bring it all together. You can also tag items, and the tagging lets you highlight things within your pages and within the sections there. That way you can search for it and find some of the things that they use common tags there. Let's go back to our little demo here. Back in our demo here, let's say I wanted to save an audio note. Well, the way that I can save an audio note is I can go up to this insert, and here I can insert audio. So, before I do that, let me go down here. I'm going to stick the audio down here. So let me do that. And now it's recording the audio, so we can do a 1, 2, 3 test. I'm recording audio in here that I want to get back. I can stop it here. And that just recorded it, and it stuck this in here, and it noted the date and the time that I recorded the audio. At any time I can go back into this note and I can play it back. And now it's recording the audio, so we can do a 1, 2, 3 test. I'm recording audio in here that I want to get back. I can. So you can record it, you can play it back. This is handy, let's say if you were out somewhere and you had your phone and you didn't want to type in stuff or things like that and you wanted to record that inspiration, you could create an audio recording and record it and store it in notes here. Another nice feature is in OneNote. It's called Clip and Save. What you do there is there's a OneNote web clipper. This is an extension that can be added to your browser. Whether your browser is the Chrome browser, the Google Chrome browser, or the Microsoft Edge browser, it works for either of those, and it allows you to save your contact with a single click. So this is easier than if you've ever highlighted web pages and tried to capture information off of web pages. This is a much easier way to do it. So let's go out here to, I'm on the Chrome browser here, and here's the extension which I've installed in Chrome. It's called Clip to OneNote. And right now I'm looking at a web page here, and this is a web page talking about the best live TV streaming services there. Well, I can go up here and I can click on the OneNote here. And what OneNote gives me is it gives me 4 options on how to capture information on this page. I can capture the entire page, which is what it defaulted to here. And if we look over here, it's capturing both the graphics and the text in this article, in this entire article. So I could capture the whole thing there. It also gives me the option of just capturing a region or an area on the screen. So I could go here and I could highlight this, and let's say I just wanted to capture that portion there, I could. I can capture just the text, that's what this article is, or I could capture just a bookmark, and the bookmark is just a gives the URL of the website and basic information there. But let's go back, we'll collect the region. And when I click the region, I can also put a little note to myself. So this was, I can put whatever I want in here. I guess I didn't spell there. So you can add a little bit of information. And then what it wants to know is it wants to know, where do you want to save this? Since you're saving it, you can decide what notebook to put it in and what section to put it in. Now, I created a section called Inbox that I usually put stuff that I capture from web pages. And it goes into this section called Inbox, and then at a later time I go through my inbox and decide should this be added to an existing page that I have, or is it something I'm going to deal with right away? And so I can decide what to do. But we'll let it go into my inbox. Otherwise, I could pick another area and have it go into there. Let's clip here. So this clipped it, and it put it, created a page in my notebook for this. Now, what it's asking here is it said it did clip it. If I want to view it, I can click right on this. This will actually open the browser version of OneNote. So this will give you an idea of if I hadn't installed OneNote on my laptop, I can use OneNote through the Chrome browser here, and it looks very similar to installing the software or the app on my phone there. You can see these different options that we have here. Well, this is the new entry that it created. Actually, I've got a couple of other ones out here from other demos that I've done. Let me get rid of some of these. Get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. get rid of that one. So this put it out here, and again, just like I was doing on the laptop, I can go to the draw here, and if I want, I can use the highlighter. I can highlight things in here. That's not a very good job, but I can undo it if I want. I can use the pen and draw around things. So I can do almost all the things that I could with the software on the laptop. Through the browser, I can do things there. So there's lots of things that you can do. Another thing I'll maybe show since we're here is I can, let's say I wanted to add some more information here on this page, but I didn't want to type it in. If I don't want to type it in, I can go up here. And so instead of typing it, you'll see here's a microphone. I can dictate it in, and it'll translate my voice into text. So I can go here. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their party. And you can see it took my voice, translated it into text, and put it in the note here. So if you don't like typing, you can use the dictate to get things in there. Okay, let's go back here. So the clip and save is very powerful, lets you capture stuff from web pages and easily add stuff to it. You can share and collaborate with co-workers, friends, and family. Again, if you're working on a barbecue or an anniversary picnic or birthday, anything like that, multiple people can work on the same note at the same time and see each other's changes. All of this information that we were at there is backed up. It's versioned. You can go back to any version that you want, and it's synchronized with all the different devices that you have. This prevents data loss and allows it to be accessible anywhere. You also have undo, redo, and editing. This makes your notes a living, dynamic information repository rather than a static document that are difficult to edit after the fact or become obsolete. You can copy and paste text from images with a high level of accuracy when converting graphics to text. So yes, you can copy and paste, but let's go back here to the notebook that I have. And in this notebook, I have in here, let me go here, let me delete that. So this is from the parade section a couple of weeks ago. I can make it bigger if you want to see what there. The Ask Marilyn, she was asked the question about history, and I liked her response to it. So what I did is I was reading the newspaper. I just opened up my phone, went into OneNote, created a new page, used my phone to capture this because it let me crop exactly what I wanted there, and it captured this and put it into a page in OneNote here. Now that I've got it in a page in OneNote, the picture is nice, but actually I'd like to have that in text because if I want to send somebody that in an email, I maybe don't want to send them the picture and them having difficulty reading it or stuff like that. So what I can do here is when this was captured into OneNote, I can actually right mouse click on here, and now I can copy the text from the picture. So if I do this copy text from picture, it's copying all the text in this picture, and I can put that, let's paste it into an area over here so you can see what it looks like. This is the text from the picture there. And it does a pretty good job there of translating it. There are some problems like the email address. It has a marilyn@parade.eom, and it should be marilyn@parade.com. So it didn't quite get the COM correctly there, but probably 99% accurate with translating the graphics into text, which is a nice feature there. There are some cons to OneNote. It does have search capability, but usually people find it more difficult to find their stuff. So if you want to make your stuff easily found, you have to organize it a little bit, because generally searching for words or stuff like that may not give you exactly the note that you want. You do have limited text formatting, so you can't put in like headers and footers and do word processing in here. Again, it's not a word processor. And with the free account, you do have 5 gigabytes of storage there. So if you need more storage, then you're going to have to pay for more storage to get that. Okay, some tips on digital note-taking. It's very easy to take notes, but it's much harder to use or find them. I mentioned the search capabilities. You need to organize them correctly in order to be able to find them later on. And so the tool isn't going to do all the work for you because it doesn't know how it should be organized or what should be done there. So hopefully these tips will help you get started here. Every piece of content that's added to a page comes with its own field or box. You can resize any box or drag it or drop it to change its position on the page. For some types of content, this works well, but it can also lead to messy or ugly pages. So when I was showing that you could add text and do things at all different places on the page, again, you can turn that into a mess if you put too many or don't organize the stuff. You do have that hierarchy of the notebook, the section, the page, and the subpage schema, and that's really important because it's up to you then to keep the stuff organized. Part of the reason is if you want to share the notebook or you want to share information, you have to share it at a notebook level. And so if you have different pages that you want to person and stuff like that, you want to create your notebooks. Let's say this notebook may be for an anniversary party because I want to share and I want other people to be able to update it. You can do that. When you create a new note quickly, it needs to be placed somewhere where it won't get lost. That's why when I was clipping that out of a web page, I was putting it into a section that I called _inbox. That way, my process tells me occasionally go through my inbox and decide where to move the things or to create new pages for that. You never know when you'll need your old content, so instead of deleting, if you have something that was important information, you might want to archive it. And you could archive it in a notebook out there, and that way if you need it in the future, it'll be available for you to look at and find. You can use a search to find what you're looking for, and when the search is looking for text, it'll also go through the picture. So even if the words are in a picture, it'll go through that. And you can convert handwritten notes or images into text, just like I converted that article from the newspaper into text. If you use a stylus or a finger and write down notes, it can actually convert that all into text also. You can password protect items, even though your file by default, the only person who can view it or update it is yourself. But if you're going to give permission to other people to also view it and to update it, you can further protect some items by putting a password on it. Now, but you have to be careful, because if you do put a password on a section and then you forget it, Microsoft or no one can help you get get back those pages that were in the section. A template is a page designed applicable to new pages in your notebook to give them a uniform appearance and appealing background and consistent layout. Also on these pages, you can turn on a grid when you're using a stylus or if you just like it for taking notes. So if we go back to our OneNote here, and let's go back to our demo area, you can see this has a white background. There's no lines on here or anything, which is okay. But let's say we wanted lines on here. I can go up here and I can make this look like a line page, or I can put grid lines. Let's put a ruler here. So now we have some lines here. And then let's say we want the color. Let's change the color, the background color here. We'll make it, let's make it a little like a yellow notepad here. So you can set this up, and then if you're trying to line things up, it might be easier for you to line things up, because you can move these things anywhere on top of each other, wherever you want the pieces of information to reside there. Let's go back. You want to regularly clean out your notebooks. You can delete, combine, archive, or reorganize the information in there. Personally, I keep OneNote open all the time on my desktop, so it's easy to go back to or add any information. Tags, I mentioned earlier that you can add tags. You can add tags. They can help you narrow down and find things easier. So that can be a nice tip there. But you have to be careful. You don't want too many tags. If you create 50 or 100 tags, it can be sloppy to find things, or they mean these tags may be very close to each other in meaning. So it can be hard to find things. So be careful how you use tags. And let's maybe go back here. So if I had some stuff in here that I wanted to tag, I simply go up here, go back to the home. I can take that text. Here's tags. So if I wanted to put an important tag on there, now it's got an important tag. You can create any number. You could have hundreds of them. You can create new ones. You can call them anything that you want. Personally, I create sections that use the same names as my browser bookmarks. So just like if you've got a bunch of bookmarks, you put them in folders or that to organize them. Well, I tend to use almost those same names then in my notes that I have, because I have some relating to health, some relating to investments, some relating to a friend or things like that. And I tend to use the same ones as my email folders and stuff like that. Okay, a little demo there. Let's go back here. So this is an example here of one of my notebooks, and I have a shopping section here. And in the shopping section, I keep track of things that I may want to pick up or I'm looking for there. I also keep track of my dad's groceries that he needs and where they are or when I last picked them up. So it's kind of gives me a nice little deal there. Also for certain dinners or that, the shopping list for the dinners are in here. So I have all of that. Also wine recommendations. So you can keep track of all kinds of things in there. So let's go back here. And that concludes the presentation there. Are there any questions or comments? So OneNote can be very powerful there. Stick any information that you want. You can see some of the different sections that I have. I've sectioned stuff out just to keep track of things and stuff like that in there. And Means that you don't have to have your notebooks anymore and a paper and pencil. You're just replacing that with a modern version. Again, you can put drawings in here. You can put websites. You can record audio or video. You can put all that inside these different pages that you create. Okay. Any question or comment there? And if you haven't used it before, I highly recommend download it. If you don't have a Microsoft account, you'll have to create a Microsoft account. And it's free to create a Microsoft account. That'll give you 5 gigabytes of space. But then you can start using it on all the different devices and things like that out there. Okay. Well, that concludes the presentation. Thanks for listening. And if you need another handout or any information, you can go out to the